Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys, this is another MCU review. I know it's been a minute, right? It's finally here. Obviously we reviewed Captain America 4, Brave New World, horrible title, pretty good movie. Go check out that review if you want to see the specifics. But we are back doing the MCU re-review series. Now I know Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever was of course, next, but I'd rather watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Okay, I've been wanting to watch or rewatch this one for months. So I'm like, all right, it's fine. I'll do this one first. Whatever. If you're mad at me, yell at me in the comments. It's fine. Anyway, yeah. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is gonna be a pretty short video, right? Because look, this is pretty much a perfect Marvel movie. We'll see you guys later. No, I'm kidding. But look, it is. I upon rewatch, I was like, oh man, this is like peak top tier. Not mid, no cap, whatever the same. It's a good movie, okay? Now, I saw this in theaters back when it, released. But this is my first time, seeing it on Blu-ray. So I think this is my second time seeing it. And, yeah, man, it's freaking awesome. Now, why is it such a good movie? A, it's James Gunn, right? Now, I know James Gunn is a bit of a weird guy or whatever. He dyed his hair gray or those weird allegations or whatever. But he can make a really effing good movie, okay? I know he rewrote, I think he produced Brightburn, he wrote the script for Scooby-Doo 2, but yeah, obviously he did Guardians of the Galaxy, and he did the Suicide Squad, but really he's most known for, in comic book land, for doing Guardians 1, 2, 3. Now it's a bit wonky that he decided to make Guardians of the Galaxy 3 one of the best Marvel movies ever made, and then just dip and effing go right on over to the DC studios and make, Superman and Creature Commandos and all these other things. So it's kind of funny that he's like, hey, before I leave Marvel, I'm going to make a banger, and then I'm going to bug off to DC land. It's going to be great. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, look, I'm not one of those people that thought the MCU was dying or that it died, right? And we'll get to the stuff leading up to this, or, I guess after it even. But I never really thought, oh, the MCU really dropped off. Oh, it's really bad now. Were there some things in there? Yeah, there was some stuff that wasn't as good as it could have been or should be, but none of it was downright horrible, right? So going into this, upon the rewatch, I was like, okay, I remember loving it. And yeah, it's great. And why it's so great, obviously we'll get into the technical stuff, right? CGI, pretty much perfect, right? I had literally zero issues with the CGI. Obviously, people like, Rocket, and when Rocket's a little baby, and it's Rocket and it's Floor and Teefs and Lila, obviously, they are all CGI animals, right? So, a lot of that stuff is obviously not real. Sometimes when they go to Counter Earth, I think most of that stuff, like when they're adults, like the weird animal adult people, those are practical from what I could tell at least, unless they're really effing good CGI. To me, it looked like practical models and all that. But the CGI for the most part, it's great, right? The explosions, the lasers, the space battles, it all looks really good. Okay, there was never a moment where I was like, oh, that's kind of rough. Like we've had with certain other Marvel things in the past, and even with Brave New World, that was that's pretty much my big main critique with Brave New World, was some of the CGI just looked a little bit wonky. But this one, I hate to say it, but I feel like sometimes they take Marvel, and the CGI guys or Kevin Feige or someone, they go, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be much more popular than, say, the Marvels, right? So let's just put all our resources to this versus that, right? And it shouldn't be that way, but I think that's often how they do it. But what do you do? But yeah, so CGI is great. The writing, of course, this was written by James Gunn as well. The writing is amazing. We've gotten to know the Guardians over this trilogy, but also Infinity War and Endgame and other things. So it's really cool to, us as audience members, we know the Guardians, right? We know their individual quirks and how these characters are written and how they should be, acting and all that. And yeah, James plays to that with great degree, right? Because the main plot of this film is, of course, Rocket gets jacked up pretty early on by Adam Warlock. And of course, the High Evolutionary is trying to find P1, 3 or whatever, and dissect him for his brain and use him to kind of create the perfect Counter Earth, right? So that's kind of where this is going. And at first you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of low stakes, right? They're just trying to, what they're trying to do is save Rocket, right? Okay, where's the big bad guy? Where's the stakes? Where's all this? And yeah, the stakes are freaking crazy high. I mean, not only do you have Rocket, which again, part of the writing goes into how personal this film is, right? There are moments where, I'm not going to lie, I cried. I teared up at least twice at the part where Nebula says, Drax, you're not meant to be a destroyer, you're meant to be a dad. And then I teared up a little bit when Rocket, quote-unquote, dies. And there was another moment that, I don't know, I can't remember. But, yeah, like, this is a very emotional movie, right? Like, not only because we care about these characters and they built up these characters, this is pretty much the final one, right? As far as we know as of right now. So, like, a lot of this stuff is effing final. It's like, this is some final shit right here. You know, we're not going, oh, Guardians 4 next year. You know, like, a lot of the stuff that happens is seemingly pretty permanent. And obviously, you know, we care about Rocket as a character, and we hate to see him get injured and potentially die. So that, you know, the stakes are there, but also when they try to get to Rocket, of course, you know, they meet with the High Evolutionary and Orgo Corp or whatever and all that, but really the High Evolutionary is kind of the main bad guy, right? And I gotta say, maybe it's just the actor, it's probably a combination of the actor and James Gunn, but this is one of the best villain performances and villains in Marvel history, like straight up, you know, like it's up there with Loki and Thanos, right? Like, and I know people love Killmonger. Killmonger is good to me; he's fine. But you know, when I think of like the best of the best of the best MCU villains, High Evolutionary is up there. He's like top 3. He's really effing well written. You want to kill him. You want Rocket to beat the crap out of him, so that when he does lose his face, and at the end, you know, she kind of Gamora peels the mask off him, and you see this really gory face. And it looks like Two-Face. You feel like bad, but you also feel like, oh, you know, suck it, you know what I mean, you turd, you know what I mean, get effed, biatch. It's like that, right? I didn't stand up and say that to my TV screen, but, you know, I was thinking it. But it's really interesting that you kind of, you know, combine this seemingly almost, you know, low-stakes story of, oh, we just gotta save Rocket, right? It's not like, oh, the world's blowing up, or Thanos, right? But then it kind of escalates to the High Evolutionary, and then it escalates to you know, trying to save Counter-Earth, and essentially we see a mass genocide of pretty much this entire planet, basically, or at least, you know, a big chunk of it, and it's really effed up, right? Like, this movie makes you feel emotions. You feel happy, genuinely, like, you feel happy. You will feel sad, you will cry or tear up, you will laugh. You will feel angry at characters. You will actually feel unsettled at times too, right? There are unsettling imagery in this movie with the animal abuse thing, with High Evolutionary and his jacked up face, with the whole mass genocide of a freaking planet of just these normal looking, weird ass looking animal people. Like, there's emotion to be felt, right? Like, I know some people are like, oh, I didn't feel anything when this character died, right? But like, I care at least because of the build-up of these characters, but I also care because the film itself is just really well written, and I genuinely wanted to know what happens. It's also a very brutal movie. I know that the MCU, I remember when this came out, some people were like, oh, this one's mature, you don't take your children, and obviously, you know me, I don't think the MCU is for kids at all. I think it's for teenagers and adults, which, if you want to argue, kids or teens, I guess, but in the realm of franchise land, kids and teens are different things as per the rating system, right? So, like, objectively, they're different things when you're talking about movie ratings and game ratings. But yeah, I mean, like, the MCU has never been for children, and this one really, really pushes the boundaries of PG-13, right? I mean, you've got the first F word in the MCU, which was crazy. It's funny how we made such a big deal when Peter's like, open the fucking door or whatever, and everyone's like, oh my god, ah! And they all freaked out. But you know, like, the next, 2 or 3 movies after this, Deadpool and Wolverine, they got, 113 or something, so it's just kind of funny. Obviously, it was a big moment, right? You know, when is the MCU going to have the first F word? It's kind of weird that we, glorified when a movie franchise will have an F word, but, you know, it is something that, you know, a lot of, you know, you have intense violence and you have some blood, you have a sex scene in Eternals. They say shit 100 times in each movie, so it's like, oh, I just dropped one F-bomb, you know, like, what's the big deal? It's not even for children, do it. Teenagers hear that all the time. It's not a big deal. So yeah, it was kind of interesting that they did that. And apparently that was just completely unscripted. Chris Pratt just said it, and James kept it. So, you know, congrats, James, on getting that in there, I guess. But yeah, I think, you know, there is a lot of adult imagery in the movie and adult themes and all that. And there's, obviously, every Marvel movie has adult imagery and adult themes, right? Like, none of them are, for toddlers, but it is really, really heavy, this movie. You know, not only because of the stuff we care about, but, you know, obviously the stakes that are in it as well. The action scenes are effing phenomenal. This has some of the best action in the entire MCU again. You know, I love the James Gunn. This is kind of his first movie that I noticed. Maybe did it in other things. But this is where I really went, oh shit, he's doing the Superman trailer thing. You know how in the Superman trailer, it's the really weird, it's a high FOV. You know when you play a video game and you have a really high FOV, and the edges of your screen are kind of mirrored, almost like a fisheye lens, you know what I mean? It's like that. There are certain shots that are very much like James Gunn is effing with that FOV to a crazy degree, right? And it looks really wonky. It looks great, and it looks unique, but I literally said out loud, I'm like, oh, like that's the Superman trailer thing. Like apparently that's James Gunn's new shtick. You know, I was also a little bit in the Suicide Squad movie that he did, but it was really prevalent in this with Drax versus Warlock. And of course, the Counter-Earth fight scenes and all that with Peter and Groot, where he's, kill everyone now! And, he kind of like tackles the egghead-looking dude, and he kind of smashes his head on the ground a few times. Brutal shit. And then you're also getting, the end credit scene with the Don't Stop Till Brooklyn fight scene, the hallway fight, that everyone loves to call them hallway fights or whatever. I mean, the filmmakers love hallways. I don't know what to tell you, but you have it in the hallway, and like it's a wonder. It is one of the best fight scenes in all of comic book film. I love the music. A lot of this music in this it works, and it's good for the movie. I maybe wouldn't listen to these songs on my own time, but when I hear it in the movie, I'm like, oh, that fits the mood and that fits the scene, or whatever. And obviously, it's not like a Joker 2 scenario where the music is like, integral to the actual plot. Obviously the Don't Stop Till Brooklyn thing is pretty much just there to sound cool as you're fighting. But yeah, like it's a great action. Like the choreography is incredible, the CGI is incredible. Every character has their own little time to shine and all that. It's really, really good stuff. And then obviously, the High Evolutionary, that guy gets wailed on. You really, really feel kind of like a dopamine or whatever, and you're like, oh, finally, you know what I mean? Like it's about time this guy got jacked up by the Guardians. And yeah, of course, you could make I guess a negative in a sense where Peter goes back to get his Walkman or whatever, and like he almost effing dies, and like they play it like it's like this crazy emotional sacrifice. It's like, yeah, he just went to get a fucking music thing. You know what I mean? Like this is not like oh my god, Gamora is in space, and yeah, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Like he's just like, oh, my music thing. It's like me with my I'm like, oh, I don't have it. I'm like, oh, my Xbox controller, whoops! And I like go back and I almost die. It's like that. I guess, yeah, it's like that. It's like if your house is on fire and you're like, oh, my hot Cheetos, gotta go save them, and then you die in the fire. It's like, yeah, that was pretty effing dumb, you moron. So it's kind of like that, which I get to a degree, but I like it because, he does end up giving it to Rocket and all that, and he it's a part of him, and it was just a mistake. He's like, oh shoot, I missed my music thing, and you obviously get that redemption of Adam Warlock where he kind of does like the God painting pose. If you've been on Spaceship Earth at Epcot, it's in there. But it's a very famous painting, and of God touching, I believe it was Adam, and the character's name is Adam. So yeah, I mean, really good stuff there. So yeah, the imagery is great, the CGI is great, the acting is great. Some of Chris Pratt's best acting. Everyone in here is at the top of their game. It's genuinely funny, and I do like that. There's certain moments where, you'll get like a really heavy scene with like Rocket, like, Baby Rocket, having fun with his friends, and Lila gets shot, and Rocket's screaming, and it genuinely makes you uncomfortable. And then it just like quick cuts to Drax, and he just like pummels a guy off a bike. You know what I mean? And it's just like a very abrupt, like you're sad and you're uncomfortable, and then you're laughing, right? So like I get that to a degree where some people could be like, oh, the pacing's, the tone is weird, but this is a very serious movie at its core, right? It's emotional and serious. And the funny moments hit extra hard because it is a comedy in the loosest sense, right? Like the first two Guardians movies, they're funny, and they got a lot of funny moments, right? They're not super duper serious. This one is very serious, right? You want to care about the character, you want to care about what's going on, and the funny moments kind of, elevate that to a good degree. So yeah, man, like I said, there really isn't, for me at least, a whole lot to hate. Upon my rewatch, I was like, yeah, this is like a top 3 even MCU film. Like this is one, or top 5, whatever. This is top of the top of the top of MCU. And people, obviously, you get people on Twitter and all that. They're like, the MCU is dead, but Guardians was good. And then like, the MCU is dead and it sucks. Oh, but Deadpool was really great though. It's like, no, either the MCU is effing dead or it isn't dead. You don't cherry pick this crap. It's weird. Yeah, I never thought the MCU died or was dying. Obviously, when a movie has 35 entries or whatever by this point, some of them are not going to be as good as others, but none of it has been downright bad. And this is an example that, yeah, if you have a good writer, good director, good cast and crew, good, time to make the CGI not look like the frickin' Flash movie, you can make a quality film that, yeah, like this is a masterpiece. This is, it even says here from Ian Sandwell, brilliant end to a brilliant trilogy. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is straight up my favorite MCU trilogy. It's the strongest for sure. I love the Captain America trilogy. That's probably second. I don't even hate the Ant-Man trilogy, but yeah, like in terms of like, if I were to come out here and tell you my, like official movie critic reviews, I would say, yeah, this Guardians 1, 2, and 3 is the most consistent and well-made MCU trilogy. I think it's genuinely incredible. The beginning was great, the middle was great, and this ending capped it off perfectly. We have a new set of Guardians. Peter Quill is with his grandpa, so I mean, he is returning. Some of these characters are returning, some of them are not. Apparently, Dave Bautista, who plays Drax, he was like, oh, I'm not coming back, but I might want to play another character. I don't know. I mean, he's not dead. He didn't, like, leave. So I don't know what that means. I mean, he's technically still in the group, so I don't know. But yeah, man, like I said, it ends on such a great note. And for the fact that this ends with a freaking dance party, and it doesn't feel cringy, it feels genuinely earned. And, like, you know, the music choice that he picks, and the way that, you know, he films the scene, these characters are dancing and all that, it is a joyous scene. Like, I was literally smiling watching that scene. You know, normally when I watch dance scenes, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cringy, you know? Unless you're, like, watching an actual musical, like a Disney film, where it's, you know, that's going to happen. You know, I think sometimes it can be a little wonky with certain films. But this one, yeah, like, the dance scene happens, and I wasn't like, oh, this is cringy. I was like, no, this is effing great. You know what I mean? This is cool. You know, I want to dance with you guys, you know, and I wasn't. I promise you, I was not dancing it. I finished this movie at 11:30 at night. I was doing anything but dancing. I was crying, and I was like, shit, I gotta clean my glasses. I'm tired. I'm not dancing. But I wanted to, right? Like, you have that joyous moment, that, like, you know, that satisfaction of oh, they did it, and now they're celebrating, and, you know, all this anguish and dread and you know, just crazy sad emotions mixed with the amazing action and the funny moments, and all. You know, it's not all doom and gloom, but when stuff hits it, you know, hits you emotionally, it hits you like a friggin', you know, it's like Kevin McAllister hitting you in the head with a paint can, right? Like, boom, you feel that, you know, it hits you like a friggin' paint can. And by the end of the film, again, I walked away even more satisfied than I did for when I saw it in theaters. Like, this is an amazing film. I really don't have anything negative to say. I think it did a great job of capping off this trilogy and you know, kind of capping off these characters without necessarily making it 100% final, but obviously James Gunn is now at DC. I doubt he's going to be making any more Marvel stuff anytime soon, but, you know, I think that the dude effing killed it, man. He really did a great job, and yeah, I highly recommend rewatching this film if you've only seen it once or twice. You know, give it another watch. It's fun, it's funny, it's brutal, it's intense, it's sad, it's pretty much every emotion that you would expect in a movie, or, you know, at least in a Marvel movie, and yeah, like, to the nth degree, right? Like, they absolutely killed it. So tell me down below in the comments what you think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and out of these three films, what is your favorite? Mine would probably go 3, 2, 1, I think. Again, I love them all, but yeah, like, this is for me definitely top. Like, the character arcs, everything, man. Everything is top of the game, top of the line, top tier in this film, and I remember liking Black Panther 2. I know Black Panther 2 came out before this one, but it's going to be a little bit... we'll have to see if Black Panther 2 lives up to it. You know, this one definitely did live up to it, but we'll have to see. After Black Panther 2, I'm going to take a little bit of an MCU break. I got to watch... I'm watching the Fallout show, so I'll have reviews for that, and I'm watching some other things. And then we'll go back to whatever's next. I don't know if it's a show or something, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this review. Tell me down below, again, what your thoughts about this film are, and out of these three films, Volume 1, 2, and 3, what is your favorite and why? Yeah, man, Volume 3 is a masterpiece, and it's hard to beat this one in terms of quality, man. It is genuinely an incredible film. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next video.